What's up, friends? This is Laura again. Welcome to my channel, Mac Up Your Mind, and I am doing part 2 of a 3-part series of reaction videos to Mark Barclay and some of the ways that he has committed victim shaming against those who have come out about the allegations of sexual abuse from the ministers in Mark Barclay's church. If you've been following the story, there are now 3 who have been investigated and arrested on criminal charges of child sex crimes. These are men who have allegedly committed sexual assault against children. There has been one convicted. Brandon Saylor was sentenced, I believe it was in May. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look, but it's been a while now. But he's already been convicted and sentenced. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of child sex crimes. And there are 2 more ministers who are currently going through the trial and legal process. And what I'm doing is I'm doing some reaction videos to Mark Barclay and the way that he has gone after the victims and those who are advocating for them in front of his church. Like, he takes time during his sermons to come out and basically vent about everything that's bothering him. And this is something that a lot of preachers in this network do. This was something my former pastor did when I was part of a Word of Faith church that's connected with Barclay. It's their time to go off on people who have irritated them or insulted them in some way. And this video clip you're about to see is no different. This is Mark going off once again about the situation and making light of the victims' stories and not supporting those who have been truly wronged through sexual abuse. So I'm going to show this really short video clip and react to it. Here we go.
There's a couple people in our church. You decided to inform people who don't go to our church anymore about a couple legal issues that you heard here, which now makes you vulnerable, and you may be investigated for hindering.
I'm going to stop it right here. This is a common tactic that I've seen Barclay and preachers that are hooked up to him do. They never mention anybody by name, but that doesn't mean that they're not identifying people. Typically, the congregation has some idea of what's going on or who he's talking about, and I don't think it's any different here. I mean, I can't prove that. I wasn't sitting in the room, but it's always some of you, or there's someone here who did this or that. And it's always a way to shame the person sitting there who actually did something to question the pastor or something that he did. And this is also a way to scare people who are in the congregation to keep them from saying anything. This is good old-fashioned fear conditioning, and it's just truly disgusting. I'm going to go ahead and keep playing this.
An open felony criminal case.
Okay, I'm going to back it up because he is saying a bunch of stuff that I don't even know it's true. I should probably fact check this to see if there's any truth to this. You know, something that when I was in my former Word of Faith church, which, you know, I have now discovered as a cult, something that the leader there always said about Mark Barclay was that he makes sure that he learns 7 new things a day. And this, I think this is probably to mystify people and like amaze people and think, wow, this is like such an intelligent and wonderful human. He's pursuing knowledge, and you know, he just knows things that other people don't. And the whole idea that there are people in the religion that know things that other people don't is really a form of Gnosticism. Gnosticism is really about having like secret knowledge of things, or ascending to a level of spiritual awareness that other people can't get to. And I think that's kind of what's going on here. He's speaking a lot of like in a lot of terms and using language that sounds really legit. But again, I have not fact checked this, but that's something I need to do. I may have to do an update video on this to see if anything that he's saying is actually true. But this is just a big old veiled threat that he's using here, telling people that they've hindered a felony investigation and that they could be next on the hit list. Like, I don't see how that's even possible. The only thing that might happen is that somebody who knows something about what's going on might be questioned by the police. And I think maybe that is what Mark wants to avoid here. I don't know, but we'll listen to it and see what other thoughts come to mind.
There's a couple people in our church. You decided to inform people who don't go to our church anymore about a couple legal issues that you heard here, which now makes you vulnerable, and you may be investigated for hindering an open felony criminal case.
I have a question. How is you telling somebody about an investigation, a legal investigation going on within the church due to criminal activity, how is that hindering a felony investigation? That's no different than like you hearing something on the police scanner and reporting about it. Does this guy understand free speech at all? You're allowed to talk about this kind of stuff. You're allowed to draw attention to a criminal case. I mean, the only way that maybe something like this might have some sort of weight is if you are on a jury. You can't discuss the case with other people when you're a juror. But if you're just sitting in the congregation and you let someone outside of the church know that there's a felony investigation, I don't understand how that's hindering anything. I think what Mark might be upset about here is the fact that things going on inside the church are now being exposed. And I know like the Living Word International and Mark Barclay Ministries has come out and said that none of these sex crimes took place in the church. But these men are ordained ministers, 2 out of 3 of them, and another one was actually a church elder. That was Brandon. But his father, Randy Saylor, and James Randolph are ordained through MBN. So you better believe that this is going to be a huge PR issue if this gets out nationally. And I just pray that it does. I pray that this makes national news and soon, because people need to know about this guy. I mean, he has a ministry school, like a supernatural ministry school, where you have to pay to take courses, and basically all it is you listen to him preach old sermons on video for 3 hours a week, and you're paying him for that. You're paying to listen to his messages through his ministry school. And a lot of the stuff he teaches is like twisting scripture, and none of it's even like biblical. So if you're enrolled in an SMTI and you're watching this, go ask for your money back. You're not going to learn anything from this man.
As well as the person you told. Because you should know better.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to hear that again.
Church anymore about a couple legal issues that you heard here, which now makes you vulnerable, and you may be investigated for hindering an open felony criminal case, as well as the person you told. Because you should know better and you were told not to do it. And some of you just can't shut up.
Wow, that's really insulting. This is a big trait with preachers like this in the Word of Faith. They often talk to their congregants like they're children and scold them like this. Like he's their daddy and he's got to scold them now because you were told not to say anything. Did these people sign paperwork or a gag order saying that they weren't going to say anything? I don't understand why they're not allowed to talk about this. This is a crime. Brandon Saylor committed crimes when he molested these children. And I'm using Brandon as an example here because he's the only one who's been convicted at this point. But I have a feeling that there's going to be more convictions down the road. But like as of right now, he's convicted and serving time in prison right now for this. But like, why aren't they allowed to talk about it? I think what Mark is doing is he's using his, big, vast wealth of knowledge. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know things. He probably does. He probably studies a lot. But I think he's using that to intimidate his congregation. And because they believe everything he says, this is a very powerful tactic. And just the way that he talks to people is so demeaning and so belittling. It just, the amount of arrogance coming from this man's mouth is beyond me. Uh-oh, I think I need to go back and hit play on this again. What is going on? All right, there we go.
I don't want you to, but sometimes I wonder, you're just going to face the consequences. Like, am I like Noah? I've been here so long, you're not really listening to me? That my voice has become a little...
Okay, that's just really arrogant to say. And I know I covered this in my previous video, but unfortunately with that, like, none of the sound came through, so you couldn't hear what Mark was saying. But basically, he's compared himself to Noah, and he self-identifies as a preacher of righteousness. And I just think that's hilarious, because clearly he doesn't know how to preach the Bible, because he always twists the text. He always takes things out of context. After about 2 or 3 months after leaving my Word of Faith church, I went back and listened to a Palm Sunday service that he did on the live stream at my previous church. I probably shouldn't have done it, but like, I was a glutton for punishment at this point. But he basically took a text out of the book of James and told the congregation that every time they commit a sin, they have to get saved, they have to get born again all over again. That is so unbiblical and ridiculous. I just can't even with this guy. But the fact that he would even compare himself to Noah is really funny. Because he's obviously not Noah. Because Noah actually heard the word of the Lord and obeyed it.
But sometimes I wonder, you're just going to face the consequences. Like, am I like Noah? I've been here so long, you're not really listening to me? That my voice has become of little effect? You think I'm exaggerating? I'm not chewing you out. I'm actually just preaching about the evil day.
Are you? How are you preaching about the...
There's a couple people in our church.
I'm sorry, but how are you preaching about the evil day when all you're doing is manipulating and bullying people? I just find this so hilarious now. Like, I used to eat up everything that this guy said, and now I hear the things that he says from the pulpit, and it just makes me sick. Again, like, he's not Noah. He's never going to be Noah. It just, wow. I just don't have any words for this. And it's always, my words have little effect. Who are you, Mark? Are you God? I didn't know that your name was Yahweh. Your congregation should be more concerned about the word of the Lord from the scriptures than like making sure that they obey your voice. But this is how it is in Word of Faith. Everything depends on you obeying the preacher and the pastor and doing what he says all the time. This is part 2. I'm going to be back with part 3 here shortly, and I'll be posting another video soon of the last clip that Julie Royce posted on her YouTube channel. She's done some great coverage on all of this, and I appreciate the fact that she is following the story. I really wish that some other journalists would pick it up. I need this to be national news so that people can see what's going on in this church, because this is happening everywhere. And so many people I know are devoted to following this man. And I think if they could see how he speaks about victims and those who are advocating for them, they might think twice about whether they want to support him financially or with their time and talents. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.